Evening. I am Anitra Steele, Chair of the Forums Committee. Welcome to our forum for Jackson County Legislature at-large Districts 1, 2, and 3. This forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Kansas City, Jackson, Clay, and Platte counties. This forum will be recorded and available on the League's webpage, lwvkc.org, and on YouTube. The League of Women Voters is a trusted, grassroots, nonpartisan organization whose members do the hands-on work for democracy. While we neither endorse nor oppose candidates or political parties, we are directly involved in sharing the important issues. Our mission is to empower voters and to defend our democracy. We envision a democracy where every citizen has the knowledge, the right, the desire, and the confidence to participate. Our membership is open to everyone. I'd like you to know the other League members volunteering with me. Stephanie Revels is the timekeeper, and our Zoom is being monitored by Winnie Dunn. The public has sent in the questions via the League's website, lwvkc.org. Tonight, we welcome our moderator, Sandy Eads, past president of our League. Welcome, Sandy. Welcome, candidates.
Thanks, Anitra. Well, I'm delighted to join you for the Candidates Forum for the Legislature in Jackson County at Districts 1, 2, and 3, and these are at large. Jackson County Legislature functions as the county's legislative body. It enacts all county ordinances which are subject to approval or veto by the county executive and appoints the county clerk. The Jackson County Legislature has 9 members who are elected to 4-year terms. 6 legislators are elected from individual districts, while 3 additional legislators are elected from at-large districts. At-large legislators must reside in the district they represent, but are elected countywide. Therefore, each county resident is represented by 2 legislators. Tonight, we'll hear from the candidates running for Jackson County Legislature at large, Districts 1, 2, and 3. Forums last approximately 2 hours or 120 minutes. I'll ask each candidate the same question, selected from those submitted by the public. The order of candidate responses has been determined by random rotation. Each candidate will be given 60 seconds to respond to each question and 2 minutes for a closing statement. All of the candidates running for these seats have been invited. And so tonight we welcome your candidates to the forum. Please answer the question asked, stick to the topic. If you've got any rebuttals, save them for the closing statements if you have any. So let's get started. Let me get my list of questions going here. And we're going to start, Jalen Anderson, with you and for everyone. The first question is, please introduce yourself and discuss your qualifications to serve in the Jackson County Legislature. Jalen, you're up.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. My name is Jalen Anderson. I serve as your Jackson County Legislator for the 1st District at large. And my qualifications has been that I have been through the thick of the fight for the last 7.5 years. Even though Jackson County government has faced a lot of trials, I will say, that we have still been able to accomplish good things. Everything that we wanted to accomplish, of course not, but it takes time. Before I was elected to the county legislature, I served in the Rockefeller Foundation as a director for investment in small business and then urban core development. After that, I worked at the Ford Foundation, working to make sure that we brought healthcare to women all throughout rural America, but also focusing on how do we make sure that abortion access is a fundamental right, not a privilege. But I will say that this has been an honor to serve, and I look forward to tonight's forum.
Thanks very much. Carly, you're next.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for inviting me to be here today. I truly appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Carla Fields, and I'm running for Jackson County Legislature, 1st District at large. because I believe our community deserves leadership that is present, accountable, and focused on delivering real results for the people of Jackson County. I was born and raised in Jackson County, and I graduated from Grandview High School. I attended Boston College for undergrad and Texas Southern University for law school. I am a partner with Fields and Brown, the firm that was founded by my father, and I've spent more than 30 years serving this community as an attorney, an advocate, and public servant. Today, I serve as general counsel to the Hickman Mills C1 School District. Um, I have got 30 years of experience representing and advocating for clients and advocating for issues, and I look forward to the opportunity to share more with you this evening.
Thank you very much. Justice?
Yep, yep, thank you. So I am running for the first district at large Jackson County Legislature because I think it's time for a new generation of leaderships to step up. There have been folks in office who have been there for close to a decade who have continuously told residents that, give me more time, give me more time. But we've seen what that time has given them. We have seen property tax crisis after crisis, from the sports teams leaving to recall elections to, chairmanships changing every other day because of gridlock and scandal. And the current Jackson County Legislature is currently fighting and gridlock again because of allegations of bribery. We cannot expect these same folks who got us into this mess to get us out of it. And it's time for a next generation of folks to step up. And as someone coming up in this community, I thought it was, incumbent upon me to step up and be that change.
Thank you very much. Lance Pollard.
Yeah, my name is Lance Pollard. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for the invitation this evening. I was just reelected to the Green Valley School Board, elected to an officer of the school board. I serve on Missouri School Boards Association Regional Executive Committee, District 4. I own and operate a small business based out of Lee Summit. I'm a landlord. I'm a homeowner. I'm a father of 5. My wife and I have 5 awesome kids. And I've been involved with about a dozen nonprofit organizations in Jackson County over the last decade or better. My leadership style is I know how to bring people together for a common goal, to unite people together. And I lead with humility. I lead by learning, and I lead by listening. And I'm looking forward to tonight's forum also.
Thank you very much. Gracia Cabrera.
Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak at your forum. My name is Grecia Cabrera, and I'm running for 2nd District at large. I grew up mostly in Kansas City. In the last 28 years, I've been living in the historic Northeast. I've seen changes along that time, and I've experienced public education in this county, along with several other decisions made by leadership. I have worked in nonprofits for over 16 years. I've brought common sense solutions to the health centers that I worked at. I saved them over $60,000 in decisions and helping improve workflow. I believe that I can bring integrity and that type of common sense solutions to the county as well.
Thanks very much. Brandon Ellington.
How you doing? I'm Brandon Ellington, running for 2nd District at large, former city council person, 3rd District at large city council, former state representative. What motivates me and brings me to running for this position is leadership. And when I talk about leadership, I'm talking about leadership by way of resource coordination, something we haven't seen from our legislative body, tax reform, something that we haven't seen from our legislative body, engagement in the community, investment in our youth, partnerships with our prosecutor's office and our sheriff's office. Again, something that we haven't seen from our current legislative body. And everything that I talk about as far as action and connectivity I've demonstrated in my past positions. I've been blessed to demonstrate that at the state level. When I was the chair of the Black Caucus, we started bi-state Black Caucus meetings in St. Louis and Kansas City, as well as certain legislation that we packaged as a Black Caucus. Some of it was actually successful to get passed in a Republican controlled body. On the city council, I was blessed to be able to pass legislation, even though I was known for
Time's up.
voting.
Donna Payton.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for this time to introduce myself to you. My name is Donna Payton. I am currently serving you as your Jackson County Legislator, 2nd District at Large. I began my political career as a board member for the Raytown C2 School District. And I also want you to know that I have a degree, Master's of Arts in Theological Studies. I am the mother of 2 children. I was a single mother. My mother was a single mother. And I have come to realize how important one's voice is when it comes to education and when it comes to their community. So I am happy to serve and happy to engage others, bringing them into what we do each day and bringing them into how we work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Susan Wilson is last on this one. And Susan, could you turn on your camera, please?
Oh, it's not on?
Nope.
Okay, now. Am I
Thank
on
you.
now? Okay.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
sorry. I'm Susan Wilson. I'm running for 3rd District at Large. I'm a mother, a grandmother. I'm a psychologist by trade. I have degrees from the University of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania and UMKC. I am running because I want to see change. I'm concerned about taxation. I'm concerned about the lack of collaboration. In all of my leadership experiences, which have been many, served as vice chancellor at UMKC and many other positions. But I've known as someone of integrity, someone that does not buy into drama and mudslinging, and someone who really wants to help people work together toward a common goal. That's my claim to fame. And I really also want to see better coordination and collaboration with the county, with other governmental entities, so that we can get big things done in our community.
Thank you very much. So question number 2, and we're going to start, Carla, with you. Jackson County is a large and diverse in population, in communities and land use. As an at-large member, how will you prioritize these different groups?
So I have a strong history and background in being able to collaborate and work to get things done. It is a huge part of who I am, and it's a big part of why I ran for this seat. So a big part of what I would be trying to do is work with organizations that already exist, organizations that are already doing work in the community and representing individuals, and seeing what I can do to pull organizations in all parts of the city. I'll have a particular interest in making sure that voices that aren't heard are at the table and are being heard. That's why I'm so proud to be endorsed by Freedom Incorporated, because they represent a community that has historically been underserved. And so my goal will be to work to pull groups together to advance countywide issues.
Thank you very much. Brandon?
How would I actually work to bridge land uses? That was the question, correct?
Yeah, but just saying that Jackson County is large and diverse in population, communities, and land use. So there's a lot of different land uses and population and communities. So as a member, how do you prioritize those different groups?
There's a lot that we can actually talk about when we talk about this. It depends on the restrictions that we're talking about, whether that's county zoning, whether that's city issues, or are we talking about actually bringing in development dollars and bringing in big box development entities? So how I would actually pair and partner is engaging with the city council and then engaging with your state and senators and your state reps in the respective areas, depending on what economic package that we're talking about. So again, in Jackson County, we have a lot of unincorporated areas, but then we have a lot of overlapping with the cities. So in those areas that have had development issues, I would actually be looking at the county's issues with zoning, and particularly with the unincorporated areas and the lack there of development, because we have incentive packages to develop in those areas. I'll give you an example. Around the Royal Stadium, there's enough brownfield dollars and some of the other environmental dollars that we can actually develop in that area, but I haven't seen the county partner with the city. But that would take a engaged legislator actually working with the cities and then engaging the state to actually come up with a workable package that we have. So
Thanks
again,
very much. Yep, thanks. Justice, how about your thoughts on that one?
So, this is a vital question because, when we look at members who serve at-large communities, I think the answer is simple. How you campaign is how you govern. We shouldn't wait for folks to be elected to see how they would, govern. We are proud to be the only campaign in this race that not only door knocks, but door knocks every single day to meet residents across all 18 cities. And I think, one of the only hardest working campaigns on this call is Brandon Ellington. The folks who meet people at gas stations, at community centers, who aren't just going to wait until the last 2 weeks to send a mailer and think, call it quits. That is not how things need to be done. We need folks who are going to do things differently, actively meet residents where they are. And as an at-large member, we need folks who are going to do the work, actively show up in communities, and not think town halls, community associations, and even Democratic clubs is enough, because it's not enough.
Thank you. Susan?
Yes, so I've been a big believer throughout my career when it comes to land use and other community issues like this, having a needs assessment done that hears the voices of the community is really important. We in Ivory Towers can think about what we do with land, but we need to really engage the community and find out what the needs are and what the ideas are, which may change our mind about the direction we were going in the first place. I think there's a lot of need for land to be repurposed, not just for big box stores, but for other community needs. And I would be a candidate that listens to the people and the community as well as data. Make a data-driven decision.
Thank you. Lance, your thoughts?
Yeah, both in my, I'd say, public service and private service. I know what those conversations look like and what they need to look like. And what I think is happening now is really a disconnect from some of the leadership to some of the municipalities, whether it's incorporated, unincorporated. And I'm big on conversation. I love meeting people. I love having meaningful conversation. I believe that every voice needs to be heard. And I believe that leadership needs to understand, the incoming leadership needs to understand that every policy decision, every budget decision have people's lives and livelihoods attached to those. So I'm big on collaboration. Maybe the mayors and city managers once a quarter meet with the legislators. It's open to the public, but just kind of reiterating what some of the other candidates have said, I don't feel that a lot of the leadership currently are really listening to the constituents that they serve.
Thank you. Gracia?
I definitely want to highlight what other candidates have mentioned about listening to the communities. And there's so many different communities that not all the same solution is not going to be applied to everyone. I also think that we need to prioritize local investors rather than foreign ones for investment opportunities and development in the areas. But taking into account long-term impact in communities from certain developments, we also need to make sure that we're keeping the balance between too much government intervention versus what the people want and need.
Thank you. Donna?
Yes, thank you. When it comes to land use and diversity, it's important for us to focus first on the diversity of our amazing county. When we talk about diversity, we're not just talking about race, we're also talking about the diversity of the lives within our county. There are people that are homeless, there are seniors that need housing, there are young people that are trying to get a home for the first time. And we have such an array of needs within the county. So as Jackson County, we do have a land bank that we can work with our municipalities in making sure that we release this land that can be bought. And we are currently in the process of using surplus land to get ideas and talking to our municipalities and getting their involvement and letting the gatekeepers of the neighborhoods talk to us. Those are the keys to land use and diversity.
Thank you. Jalen, you get to wrap this one up.
Thank you. Well, how we deal with this is what I've been trying to practice over the past 7.5 years, talking with the different mayors all throughout Jackson County, as being a part of the board of Mid-America Regional Council and understanding what each municipality needs, but also getting the chance to speak with those mayors and speak with their city managers and speak with their city council persons, and understanding exactly what they need. As we talk about land use, of course, we have a very interesting position where Jackson County has a lot of overlap with other cities. I believe that what we saw during COVID back in 2020, 2022, the investments that were done, that was all spread out. As we started to see real investment, real monies put into different communities. And we need to grow on that. We need to have a strategic plan that's focused not on 10 years, 15 years, but over the next 20, 25, so that we can really invest taxpayer dollars correctly so that it has a great return to the public.
Thank you very much. Lance, we're going to start with you on number 3. And that question is, what are your top 3 budget priorities and what programs would you protect if revenues decline?
Yeah, so there are a lot of complex issues, and for the sake of time, to answer your question, I am big on safety and public health. I will keep that as number 1. Number 2 would be infrastructure. I'm not talking about necessarily building new bridges and things like that, but I'm talking about taking care of what we have, being a good steward with what the county has been given. And third, I would say economic development, because I believe that safety is the foundation for families to flourish, businesses to thrive. It would invite those new opportunities for businesses to come in and give the foundation for people to be able to prosper, right? So I don't believe that the government should be handing things out. It's not a handout, it's a hand up. But I believe that the government should absolutely be involved in creating the environment and the foundation for everybody to thrive here in Jackson County and prosper.
Thank you very much. Gracia, your top 3 priorities for budget.
My first priority would be to make sure that we have transparency in the way of we need to review everything we're currently spending money on. I think that's going to clean up quite a bit the budget. And after reviewing everything the money is being spent on and making sure that it is going to actual positive impact for the residents and it's being used properly. Then we need to make sure that we're addressing the biggest needs that our residents have. And I think a part of that, like Lance mentioned, is infrastructure. And then we need to focus on the growth of the county.
Thank you very much. Justice.
So I'm going to answer this question a little differently. I don't believe that there are going to be any top three priorities for the budget with what currently stands with the Jackson County Legislature. This past budget, the Jackson County Legislature passed, was about 100 million over budget, and they went into the reserves. On top of that, as you all know, the county has passed a tax credit program that is going to push tax credits out to residents over 3 years. On top of that, you had the interim county executive commit to, a settlement, which will be, if done, a payment out to residents, and it was estimated about $250 million. So we don't get to have nice things with the amount of spending these folks are doing. And we have to have serious people who are going to have serious conversations, but you cannot say we don't have money and then raid $100 million of the reserves to bump up your salaries.
Thank you. Brandon.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. Justice is so what I was going to say, man. It's like he was reading my mind. But let me try to say it a different way. I'm in the past. My vote history shows that I'm fiscally conservative. So all of the issues that he just talked about, from the settlement dollars that's coming out, to the over budgeting, to the lack thereof priorities that has been shown and restraints that have been shown in the past, I believe the new legislative body is going to have to be extremely forth thinking. Personally, when I talk about partnerships and expanding services, I'm looking to partner with nonprofits, but looking at the budgetary issues, I would also be looking at FTE, full-time staff. I believe full-time staffing needs to be increased. I don't have the numbers on it right now, but just looking at the lack of availability of one's individuals access once they go down to the county building is horrific. So again, going back to what Justice said, because it's like he stole everything I was thinking about. Looking at all of the fundamental potholes that are existing now because of the current legislative body, assessing those, then working with the department to increase staffing and
Cut you off there. Sorry. Donna?
Thank you. When it comes to my top three priorities regarding the budget, I would want to continue the work that I've started. For the first time this year as budget chair, I opened up the opportunity for outside agencies to apply for money sooner so that once a budget is passed, we can get them their monies and they can begin to do the work of the county and providing services for our county. I have started working with administration in regards to the budget for next year, and we have agreed to get that done early. I also want to, when it comes to our constitutions, our charter, I want us to be able to start a charter review as soon as possible. And for the future, I do support economic development, and we need to have somebody working in economic development and bringing business into our county. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Jalen, your budget thoughts?
I will say that my top three would be first, protecting all of the funds that go towards children with developmental disabilities, making sure that those funds are not depleted in and of itself. Secondly, I would focus on making sure that we protect the infrastructure dollars that go towards unincorporated Jackson County, because unincorporated Jackson County is our direct responsibility first and foremost. And then third, I would say, would be the making sure that the prosecutor's office budget is intact. I believe that if we're going to face, especially what might happen with this Amendment 5, that it might cause the counties to have to take on more stress for fiscal responsibilities. I think we have to make sure that our prosecutor is funded, well funded, but that we also need to take care of key issues, especially our children and the unincorporated Jackson County infrastructure challenges.
Thanks very much. Susan, it's time for your close-up. Camera, please.
The camera's not on again?
Nope.
Oh my God. I don't know what's wrong with my devices today. I'm sorry. I guess one of my first priorities would be economic development in Jackson County. I feel in the past, because of the former Jackson County Legislature, we lost a number of economic opportunities. And of course, how you drive tax revenue is through economic opportunities in the county. That would be one of my priorities. Secondly, I would want to make sure that the combat tax is passed because in Jackson County, we all know that crime and also murder is a big issue. And if you look at if you drive down to what's causing it, some of it is drug related, and some of it may even be about mental health. So I would want to make sure those things were preserved. And I think lastly, making sure that we have a good process for budgeting and reviewing the budget so that we don't miss things that we could maybe do without and other things that we absolutely need.
Thank you very much. Carla, I'm glad you're still with us. You're last on this one.
I am still with you. So first and foremost, starting a review of the budget earlier, I think is critical. The fact that we have not been able to pass a budget on time that's in budget is certainly a problem. And I think getting prepared for that process from day one is important. In terms of priorities, infrastructure and business development is certainly high on the list of priorities for me. I want to see businesses thrive in Jackson County, and so working towards that will be important. Safety and economic development are also important priorities for me. Protecting funds that support children and families and seniors and individuals with disability are also important to me.
Thank you very much. Brandon, we're going to start with you on question 4. Civility in governing entities is important. If elected, what would you do to maintain a civil, businesslike, and mannerly atmosphere in the legislature?
Believe this or not, as aggressive as I am with issues in legislation, I have never had an issue of civility, right? Being honest and being transparent with my counterparts and my partisan colleagues has allowed me in partisan politics to work across the board. On the city council, it allowed me to work with those that was beholden to those that held no benefit to the community. So even though I will work on issues or vote against issues that should marginalize me from my colleagues on the city council, it didn't. So how do you do civility? It's very simple. You be honest and you be transparent with those that you work with. And then you don't have issues. You don't have to worry about backroom deals if you're honest about the language. You don't have to worry about people coming back to you about how you voted and what you said and what you stood on if they trust that what you say is what you do. That's how I was elected Democratic majority whip in the House when I was consistently say that I don't represent partisan politics. That's how I was represented Black Caucus chair. That's how I got the Office of Citizen.
That's it.
Oh, sorry. Didn't see.
That's it.
Didn't see. Sorry.
Susan, what's your thought on that one?
So I'm a big proponent of civility, and I think that's one of the things in our county today that is lacking is that people don't have civility. And when you don't have civility, you can't get the job done because the lack of civility causes so much drama that you can't get anything done. If I were elected, I would recommend that the legislature have a civility pact. That's been done in other cities and in other bodies where people actually sign an agreement that they're going to, you could outline what the behaviors are of civility in that people are really going to adhere by those kind of standards. And I would also I've been known in a lot of bodies to be the one that is I won't say the peacemaker, but the one that tries to bring people together who have diverse points of view. So I would certainly serve in that role as well. We just can't afford to be uncivil.
Thank you. Lance?
Yeah, I believe there's a commonality and just a mutual respect that is lacking in politics today on the federal level, on the state level, and even sometimes at the local level. I call it the sportification of politics, and it's red versus blue and blue versus red. And the problem with that is somebody loses, right? And I don't want anybody in Jackson County to lose. I am not into tribal politics. red versus blue. I want the tribe of Jackson County to win. And in my time in business, public service, I spent years in the music industry. I got the opportunity to find commonality in people, and that's exactly the type of leadership that I will bring to the legislature.
Thank you. Gracia.
I come from a place where in my childhood, my family and I were persecuted and outcast from society. We were called antisocials because of our religion and our thoughts. And we had to endure all of that quietly. So I say all that to say I come from very strong stock. I don't get offended easily. And anyone who knows me can vouch for my character and personality. Unless I'm really hungry and you're taking food away from in front of me, then I can't answer for my actions. But other than that, you guys have nothing to worry about with me.
Thank you. Carla.
Civility is so important and it's so lacking in Jackson County right now. Um, just recently, the news and the drama and that has been going on in Jackson County for the last 8 years and up until this week is a problem and a big part of why I'm running. We have seen dysfunction around property tax assessments, delayed budgets, leadership that's been absent, leadership that's been argumentative, and it's time for change in that space. And that is a big part of why I'm running. I believe civility comes from honesty, from integrity, from collaboration, working together. Um, there's no reason for the legislature to not be able to get together and work together behind closed doors, and hammer things out before it becomes a public mess. So I'm I think it's one of my areas of strength.
Thank you very much. Jalen.
Well, with any body and any elected folks, you have different folks coming from different perspectives. And I've been proud to work with folks from the other side of the aisle to my fellow Democrats when we have to handle the very challenging issues. Civility, of course, is always a two-way street. If you come to a discussion, to a meeting, and you are there to speak truth and you are going to hold to your word, then that's how we can function. But when you have individuals, especially being pushed by a certain organization that want to come together and to push only their agenda, you have to stand up for the people that elected you. You don't just represent one organization, you don't just represent one group. And so being civil in every way, shape, or form is, of course, my top priority. But also at the end of the day, you have to be an advocate for your people that sent you to this office.
Thanks very much. Donna, your thoughts?
Yes, civility speaks directly to one's integrity, one's regard of others, one's willingness to respect others, and one's ability to listen intently, to be able to agree, to disagree, and to keep one's perspective focused on the service that we should be providing to our constituents and doing what is best for Jackson County as a whole. When we bring together 9 individuals, as we have in the legislature, you have 9 different opinions. And it takes someone that has my qualities to be able to talk across the board, talk across the aisle, and bring people together to have civil conversations.
Thank you. Justice, wrap us up on this one.
So I'm going to have to disagree with a comment that was made about the sportsification about politics, because one thing I learned about while playing football at Blue Springs, where we brought home 2 state titles, is that you don't get anywhere far alone. And I think a lot of these county legislators need to realize that. And one thing we also learn is when you come onto the field, you check your ego at the door. We have a lot of folks on the county legislature who have enormous egos that think that they can get things done by themselves. And that's not how you go far. We're a democracy for a reason. You legislate to get, your folks with you. And, I also think this dysfunction is why every single county legislator is being primaried, why every single person is being challenged. And for the longest time, it was Frank. We recalled Frank, and Frank's not around. And we're still seeing the same issues happen. And who is left? It is this county legislature. And that is the issue.
Thanks very much. Donna, we're going to start with you on the next one. Hot topic. Artificial intelligence data centers have stirred up controversy in Jackson County and elsewhere. What involvement of the county do you feel is appropriate? Would you use tax incentives to support the building and running of such centers?
When it comes to data centers, we know that there has been a lot of conversation about environmental concerns, about noise concerns. We, as a legislator, have decided to put a moratorium on data centers to give us an opportunity to look at zoning, to look at what is going on in other counties, to look at what would work best, not only in our cities, not only in our counties, but for our entire state. Where would data centers fit? Is it feasible? Most importantly, is it something that the citizens of Jackson County and of the state want? Is this something that we can do that will keep all of us safe, protect our environment, and be able to provide additional revenue? I don't know the answers to those questions, but we are working towards those answers. I have attended several conferences on data centers and will continue to work and do research.
Justice, your thoughts on these data centers?
So I fundamentally believe that data centers are leeches. The definition of a leech is something that takes more than it gives back. A data center takes water, electricity. For many of these projects, it's tax abatements. And what does it give back? It decimates environments. So I think, frankly, moratoriums are weak policies, especially in places like Independence. Why are the same people that champion the Nebius data center, 2.1 million square foot data center, now champion moratoriums? Because they're short-term alleviations and they're issues that are being co-opted. Again, as the only campaign that's door knocking in this race, residents don't believe we deserve protection for 180 days. They want a permanent ban on data centers. The legislature passing a moratorium for 180 days shows, that they believe the county residents deserve protection for 180 days. They want a permanent ban and for the AI industry out of our community.
Thank you. Gracia.
So we cannot ignore that it is a global race for AI right now. And I definitely don't want the United States to stay behind, but I don't want the residents to end up paying for these data centers and all their resource use. And I also am concerned about the long-term health effects from the people who would reside around those data centers. So I intend to do more research because I think none of us have all of the information and find out what exactly needs to happen so that residents gain from data centers, but don't end up paying for them.
Thank you. Jason, what are you seeing here?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did. Jason.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. Well, for me, not a single tax dollar should go towards an incentive for a data center. Really, for any project, for any multinational corporation, or we see no benefit from data centers being built. I have to say, this moratorium is a band-aid on the issue in and of itself. We should considerably take the time and to look at banning data centers within Jackson County. I've been talking to my counterparts in Indiana, also throughout California. Again, I know that there are those who believe that the short-term gain is worth it, but in my judgment, it is not. If it creates an environmental challenge, it creates a lack of quality of life for individuals, it's not good for our community. And not a single tax dollar should go towards this, and not a single data center should be built in unincorporated.
Thank you. Carla.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. So I am a researcher by nature, and I am a person who wants to have information and wants to be educated before I make decisions on anything. Data centers is no exception for me in this space. I certainly don't support doing something that's going to be harmful to the environment, harmful to residents. And so until I feel confident that um, data centers can be constructed in a way that doesn't do that, that doesn't harm the environment, that doesn't harm residents, that in a way that allows us to explore zoning and really do significant research on it. I wouldn't support doing that. I but I'm open to hearing the information and researching and learning and making an informed decision that involves community input.
Thank you. Susan?
I agree with some of my colleagues that we shouldn't be spending taxpayer money or resources on data centers. Having said that, I don't think that it's possible to stop them. Maybe not in my backyard we can, but they're going to be around for a while. I'm really wanting to hear more research about them. Like some data centers purport to use closed loop water systems so that they're not using as much water. The jury is still out on that, but I think we need much more information. But as of right now, I think that I think data centers should not be the burden of taxpayers.
Thank you. Lance?
I think we might be using a data center for this Zoom call, and maybe every time we use our phones, I think we're probably using a data center too. So I think we need to be careful when we talk about these. I also understand it's not solely the responsibility or the decision of the Jackson County Legislature to mandate for the entire county. The people I've talked to, been to town halls, talked to people, business leaders, taxing jurisdictions, and nobody is anti-growth, anti-opportunity, anti-economic development. But isn't it weird that in the age of information, there is very little transparency about these data centers? So tax dollars, no. Who in the heck, who are the people negotiating these contracts? If you're going to negotiate a contract, do a 2 to 3% top line revenue share with them, bring in $40 to $80 million in annual revenue for that municipality that can support the taxing entities, the school districts.
Thank you. Brandon, your last word on this.
All right. It's actually hard to get me to support incentivized projects, and that was demonstrated on the city council. Incentivized project has to have a strong CBA community benefit agreement, but in particular going to the data centers, there was a comment about needs assessment that was made in relation to development, and I wanted to use that comment in the ifs in the research to go to the irritation that I had on the council level that I didn't see on the state level. I love information. I love data. I love data points, but I think it becomes a point in research where you can research too much and not get anything done. When we talk about data centers, there's already enough evidence. There's already enough evidence of the environmental impact. We don't have to research it. We don't have to study it anymore. And that'd be the same when we talk about needs assessments for developments in low income areas. We already have the information of what needs to be developed in that area. So going back to the data centers and what the county can do. And I believe Mr. Pollard actually just alluded to it when he said the county doesn't have overt authority, which is true.
Okay.
Can't get
Lance,
it in, man.
It goes fast, doesn't it?
You're my favorite victim. So question number 6, and Lance, this is for you to start with. With the loss of Arrowhead Stadium and the relocation of Kauffman Stadium, what do you envision for the Truman Sports Complex?
Yeah, again, so, as I understand it, talking to some people that I would consider to be in the know, maybe the deal's done, maybe it's not done. There are a lot of conversations still happening. But again, conversations with people is where it starts. So maybe there's an innovation district, right? Technology campus, research labs, partnering with universities. Again, these are just ideas, right? Not certainly that are going to come to fruition. With being kind of the central hub, on the I-70 corridor, maybe we do an entertainment district, an amphitheater, an indoor arena, maybe not to compete with Cable Dahmer Arena, shopping, restaurants to bring life to that area. I jokingly said on the way to one of the World Cup games that I had the opportunity to attend, what are all these people going to do after the game? Are they going to eat at Taco Bell or Casey's? There's no supporting community economic development to support the activities in that area. So just some ideas.
Donna?
Yes, when it comes to the stadiums, I am someone who is very sad that the voters voted against renewing the 3/8 sales tax. And when it comes to looking at what can be done with the stadium, the sky's the limit right now. Our county executive has put together a task force that's looking at ways to utilize the stadiums and use the land around it. My suggestions would be, or things that come to mind for me, are partnering with local universities or regional universities to be able to use the stadiums for their games, working with local youth organizations and high schools to be able to utilize the stadium. I think it is important that we are beginning to look at how to best use it now so that we can prepare and that we can begin that process as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Gracia?
I don't have a particular opinion yet on that question, actually. This is something that I'll have to do more research on and more study of the area to start coming up with some ideas. But the truth is that I'm not sure yet.
Okay, thank you. Carla?
Personally, I could see a lot of things done with the stadiums, from youth sports, university sports, or possibly if demolition is what happens, some kind of a mixed use um, area for that area. The area is just such a blighted area in general, and so using this opportunity to restore not only the stadium area but the area around it uh, is going to be important. And from my perspective, that starts immediately. I think part of our problem with the stadium vote was that there was just so much stuff going on at the county that prevented um, the ability to be able to really get ahead of that, and really get the information out to residents. So getting ahead of it, um, and having the local community, residents and business community involved in the decision making will be important.
Thank you very much. Justice?
So I think, the future of the Truman Sports Complex is something that worries a lot of folks, especially on the doors, people who have long-term memories there. My uncle played for the Chiefs in the 90s. He was a wide receiver there. But what I also remind people is, when I was in high school, I played our championship in this recently vacated St. Louis Ram Auditorium. So there is use for recently vacated stadiums, be it, trying to attract another semi-pro team to, development, to There are about 30,000 lots, bring it down to 10,000, developing around the area, a district to, we have UMKC, my alma mater. They've been talking about Division I football team for the longest time. If that was made a stadium, then that opens up system dollars from the state. The sky's the limit, but I just don't think those who got us here should be those moving us forward.
Thank you. Susan?
Yes, so a lot of what has been said, I agree with. I definitely think if the ends up getting demolished, then I think some mixed use kind of project that includes housing, and part of that definitely affordable housing, but also other economic opportunities in that area, and something to really bring the area up from where it is right now, because it is sort of a blighted area and will become more blighted when the stadiums leave. I think having other sports opportunities there. I know the current committee that's looking at this, even we're looking into horse racing there. That's a unique idea. But I just think that we really need to look at a number of different possibilities, and again, figure out the feasibility of them and what it means from a financial standpoint for the county and the city.
Thank you. Brandon?
I think the way that you guys are asking this question is extremely unfair. You have incumbents on here and then you have new people. It should be, what would you do? And for the incumbents, it should be, why haven't you done anything? And this is a fundamental difference in my leadership and the leadership that we've seen not demonstrated from the county. So when we talk about economic development, this is one of the premier premises where the county can actually lead. Bridging the gap. I'm not as big on trying to replace a stadium with another stadium tenant, because stadiums historically have not proven to be economic drivers.
Yeah.
But the county now has a blessing, and I say a blessing by the Chiefs actually leaving, because the need for political will should now be there. In the past, I haven't seen political will, and I give you my understanding. When you look at the downtown park, that is political will, not will of the community, but political will, because they understand how much incentives is related to putting the park over the highway. Where you'll talk about the same. No,
Gotcha again. Jalen?
I think what we need to see is a investment in our small businesses. Small business is the driver for any community, and anywhere you look around the country, as I've been lucky enough to travel to see all of these amazing places that counties and cities have. What is their main driver? It is their local business. I think that this should become a place where we have the ability to show off the talent of the people of Jackson County, helping people get on their feet, starting a new business. I believe also using part of the property to provide sport practice and games for all of the different high schools and junior high schools all around the area, since so many are fighting to get time not only at the Frank White ball centers downtown, but in other places. And last, I believe that we should work with University Health, formerly Truman, to bring another health center there. I think allowing that area, which meets Raytown, Kansas City, and Independence, that we can have real health care available to all.
Okay. All right, the next one, I'm going to go ahead and explain Amendment 4 and 5, because there'll be listeners and viewers at some point here. But there are 4 ballot measures, but we're going to talk about Amendment 4 first, which would require that ballot measures submitted by citizens could only pass if they achieved a majority vote in each of the 8 congressional districts. Amendments from the legislature, however, would only require a simple majority of all voters. What is your position on Amendment 4? And Susan, we're going to start with you.
I would vote no on Amendment 4, mainly because I think there's a reason why ballot measures happen. It's usually a major issue that affects the community that people are trying to get a change for. And so by voting yes on Amendment 4, you really don't give voters a chance to vote on issues that are important to them, based on what this amendment would do. So I would definitely vote no. I think anything that takes away the right of the voters to weigh in on major issues that affect them, I don't agree with. Now, did you say 4 too? Or are you just talking about 5?
We're going to get to 5. That was 4. We'll get to 5 in a minute.
Okay.
Carla,
Okay.
your thoughts on 4? Carla?
I'm here, and I am so sorry.
It's all right.
I'm getting called, and I need to answer a question. Can you circle back to me?
We can do that.
Thank
can do
you. I
that.
apologize.
Donna?
Yes, when it comes to Amendment 4, it would literally be taking away, a yes vote would take away the rights that the citizens in Missouri have had for over 100 years. And that's right, is to have your voice heard, to be able to let the legislators know that this is what we, the people, want. And we have seen the initiatives that have come out of ballot petitions before and how impactful they are to the everyday lives. And when you when you suggest an amendment that will take away the rights of the citizens, but keep it as is with the state legislature, that is just unfair. I would vote no on Amendment 4 because I believe in the people's voice and I want that voice to continue for at least 100 more years.
Lance, your thoughts?
I think Amendment 4 is kind of a product of some of that division of the current political climate. I've studied Amendments 1 through 5, I would say pretty in depth. And I would not support Amendment 4 with the current legislation.
Thank you. Gracia?
I would also vote no. I'm a big proponent of small government. The smaller the government, the better. And that is I see it as an infringement on the voters. So I would say no.
Okay. Jalen?
Unequivocally, I will be voting no, and as I talk to folks, urge them to vote no. Anything that takes away from the ability to have majority rule is wrong. It's an attack on democracy in and of itself, and it was created because the state government wants to have more control over any issue that may come up. But when it comes to making it harder for people, everyday working day folks, when it's harder to make sure that we have good, strong labor unions in the state, when it's harder to protect a woman's right to choose, they're all for that. But when the people would suggest to protect any of those things I just mentioned, of course, you're going to have to, in the minds of the state government, they want to make sure that it's harder for people to do what they think is best. So it is absolutely a no vote on Amendment 4.
Thank you. Justice?
So I believe Amendment 4 and what they usually like to call this is IP reform, which I think is BS. I think what Amendment 4 is doing everything they can to ensure that residents cannot put things on the ballot, organize, collect signatures, and ensure that their voice is heard. The biggest proponent of this amendment is that it has to pass in every single congressional district, and if it doesn't, it fails, even if it gets a majority of the vote statewide. What does that sound like? It sounds like the Electoral College, that you can win the majority of the vote statewide, and because you don't win in every single congressional district, it dies. That is ridiculous. And/or the UN model, that everything has to be unanimous and one congressional district can kill any progress. That's not democratic. That's bureaucracy. And we shouldn't, be for that.
Brandon?
I don't know why everybody has a problem with the state standing unanimously to pass something. Like, doesn't that show unity? But I'm a no.
Brandon, can we come together? That's what you're saying?
I'm just saying, if y'all gotta agree. But no, I'm a no.
Carla, we're back to you. It looks like you're available.
Okay, yes, and I am so sorry about that.
Not at all.
I am also a no for Amendment 4, and I'm not sure that I could articulate it any better than what has already been said this evening. Uh, I'm not going to support anything that's going to take the rights of voters away to get ballot initiatives on the ballot. And that's what Amendment 4 is going to do. And so for me, Amendment 4 is a hard no.
Thank you. Justice, the next one's Amendment 5. It proposes replacing the income tax with increased sales taxes, including sales taxes on services such as haircuts
Oh, goody. Sorry.
and auto repairs. What is your position on Amendment 5? If I had to
So
guess.
I think, the biggest thing is, and again, I'm only 28, y'all. There are folks who should have learned from when this was done on the Kansas side. Doing this, we should know better. And the fact that they have no plan on how to recoup these funds is horrible. So a lot of our state and municipal governments cannot recoup this cash. I just don't like moving forward with a plan, and that's what everyone wants to just repeal everything. It has no plan. So I'm a hard no for Amendment 5, and it's going to tax everything. It's going to raise sales tax, which I would argue, we already have high sales tax as is. Property taxes are high, sales tax are high, and what we don't need to do is see a distribution of wealth put on more residents, and it's a regressive tax especially. So I'm a hard no, and this will especially decimate our public schools, and I'm not for that.
Gracia.
If there was a permanent cap on the sales and services tax, then I would be more likely to consider it. And no, I'm not concerned about where the state is going to get money from, or the government offices in general. They're going to get where they're going to get money from, because there's enough waste and fraud and abuse happening to where they don't it's justified for them to not get that amount of money. So my concern is if sales and service taxes are later raised and then we continue to be abused, that's where I'm a no on that.
Susan.
So I'm a hard no too on Amendment 5. When you look at states that have no taxes, they are states that have other ready sources of income. Texas has oil, Florida has entertainment, so they have other sources. We don't have another source like that. And so what it will result in is a regressive tax that hurts middle class and poor people, having to pay more for goods and services and to pay more for everything that they do. And I don't think that that's fair, because the people who are wanting this tax aren't going to be affected by it the way other people are. So I'm a hard no.
Brandon.
Yeah, I'm anti-tax, but I've been telling everybody that this would break the backs of the average Missourian. No ifs, ands, or buts. I understand certain people that are looking to benefit off of both swings, the swing and the outcome of the sales tax, which is pretty much guaranteed, and the benefit of not having to pay income tax. But this is a hard no, man. This is something that's going to hurt everybody. Even those that want to invest and benefit themselves personally, it's going to hurt you, because the more poverty consumes those around you, the more you're going to have to deal with the fallout effects of violence and everything else that tags along with poverty. So this is a hard no.
Thank you. Jalen.
Well, this is absolutely a no for me, and I'll tell you why. I'm a caregiver for my mother, and she relies on her medications and her infusions to get by. Could you imagine what would happen if we got rid of the income tax and put a sales tax on already the exorbitant amount of money that it is for healthcare? It would hurt everyone across the board. From what I've understood about researching this, if you don't make $750,000 a year, you're not going to get any benefit from this. So it's only those in the top 15% of this state that would see any type of benefit. I don't think that we should put the burden of funding the state on single mothers. I don't think we should put it on the elderly. I don't think we should put it on those who are just trying to make a good life for themselves. The middle class and working folks are already under attack. This is a bad idea. It's already been done in Kansas. If we look at the other states, they have other ways to get more funding, and we just cannot afford that here in Missouri. So vote no.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who, did you say Donna?
Yes, I did.
Thank
Sorry.
you so much. I am a no on Amendment 5 because I don't want to see people become overtaxed in other areas for going to the beauty shop, for just their day-to-day services. I don't want to see them Jackson County having to lose money because people are going over across a state line because it's going to be cheaper. I don't want to see architects or engineers losing money because they can't bid on contracts outside of Missouri because of the additional taxes that they would have to factor into their bids. I'm against someone who is already struggling in many instances to come up with a down payment for a home to be subject to sales tax on that deal. It is a bad idea for Missouri to not have a state income tax until we have a base, like an entertainment base or an oil base or something that can support the state. Thank you.
Carla?
I think like everyone, I believe on this call, I'm a hard no on Amendment 5. I feel like there's no way for residents that are working class individuals to benefit from this. The only individuals who will benefit from this are individuals with large incomes. And so because we don't have an entertainment base, we don't have another base of revenue where residents, where the state would get income, that's going to fall on residents through an increased sales tax. And so that is a bad idea. I'm an absolute hard no on Amendment 5.
Lance, close us out on this one.
You know, Ronald Reagan once said the 9 most dangerous words in the English language are "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." This is the show me state. And it's like with many politicians at the state and federal level acting like children, you got this situation where just vote yes on this and let us figure it out. I don't trust that it would get figured out. And so, again, for those reasons, I would not support Amendment 5.
Didn't Reagan also say trust but verify?
Are you? Yes. Yes.
Reagan
Yes, he
also
did.
let the AIDS epidemic go crazy under his watch, but
Oh, no, I'm sorry, didn't, time out.
I know. I'm sorry,
All
Sandy.
right, all right.
He
Easy
also
now,
said,
easy
let
now.
it trickle down. Let it trickle down.
Oh, Lord.
So here we go. Brandon, you get to be question number 9, and it's a short one. What do you envision for the old jail facility?
Oh, that's actually a good one. I actually haven't thought about what we can do with that old jail facility. That's actually interesting. Just off the top of my head, without going through any details, an incubator would be something that would be interesting that we possibly can look into because it would be city owned. So an incubator ideals is something that I was working on at the city level, using city buildings to warehouse nonprofits and businesses. So I would actually look for something like that without researching that one, because that's one I haven't researched. But I do know there's an ability in at the city level I was doing that. But you got me. I haven't looked into that old jail, what we should actually repurpose it with. But an incubator style mechanism would be something I would initially be interested in.
Okay. Donna?
We would first need to assess the quality of the building. Can the building withstand any remodeling or any type of in any type of way that income could come into the building? Or is the building in such bad shape that it would need to be demolished? So my suggestion would be first to assess the viability of using the facility, the old jail facility, and then determining if it is viable, if it is feasible, then bringing together the community leaders to determine what is the best way to go forward.
Okay. Lance.
I think there's great possibilities. I believe what Ms. Payton said is correct. I also believe that I won't bring the McCune property situation, but just properties that need a little TLC. I really believe that the incoming legislature needs to weigh what value are the taxpayers and what value are we going to get for the cost. So being in the construction industry, working with developers and general contractors, I understand firsthand, I'd say some of the costs associated with it. And I would love to hear some of the other ideas. But again, I believe that whatever is done with that, if the value is worth the cost, absolutely has to benefit the community that it serves.
Thank you. Gracia.
I think I don't know too much about the condition of that building and what is currently being used for, but that makes me think that there's probably quite a few properties that could be sold that are not being used currently, or at least leased. And I think by doing that, we would be better stewards of the taxpayers, because that could be money back in the county's pockets that could be used for maintenance for the long run, which I know we've struggled with. The buildings that are being used, we need to make sure that we are planning long-term maintenance. And I think selling some of those buildings would be a great way to do that.
Thanks. Carla?
I'll tell you, this is the first time I've been asked this question. All these forums, no one has asked the question what to do with the old jail. And so my initial thought is um, the condition of that building is not great. And so trying to determine whether or not it's worth the investment would be the first step. There are so many historic buildings in Jackson County that have deferred maintenance that need to be addressed. And so uh, um, I I think I would want to prioritize some of those other buildings over an initial investment in restoring the downtown jail for some purpose. It would really take looking at that and seeing whether or not it's worth the investment.
Thank you. Justice.
So the recently vacated downtown detention center is located in the heart of Kansas City in the downtown corridor. I think, if there is a rigorous process of its viability, I honestly think, we either look at turning it over to one of our nonprofits or community organizations for either a low barrier shelter for the houseless population, for there to be a place for them to receive services, to, the redevelopment of that property to, affordable housing. That is in the heart of a densely populated city center. Again, as someone running at large, it is our largest city of 500,000 people. And any way we can try to incentivize more affordable housing to be built and or a place for folks who are houseless to be housed is something we should champion.
Thank you. Jalen.
Well, first, when I first came on to the legislature, the jail was already an issue, and that is why I'm happy that we at least have a detention center that is not seen as a danger to all. The last report that was done proved that it was not safe for anyone to be in that jail or in the detention center at all. Of course, of its design, it was completely outdated even when it was first built back in the 90s. What I believe is that we need to do another investigation into the well-being of the building itself, but also if that building cannot be saved, I am of the opinion that we don't get rid of the land, that we don't sell this property. That's one thing that Jackson County will never get back is the properties that we do have. And I believe working with public-private partnership, like Justice mentioned with our non-profits, I think there's a great opportunity for us to use that land for betterment of all.
Thanks. Susan, you have the last word on this one.
Okay, so I'm giving a lot of thought to this either, but I do think that the first step is knowing whether the building is even viable. And if it is, I agree with some of my colleagues about the need for shelters, for housing, and also working with not-for-profits, a reentry program, because we know we have a number of incarcerated people coming out and who need services. And the problem is those services aren't funded very well. But working in collaboration with entities, we could figure out a solution like that. But that's if the building is even viable in the first place.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. Justice, you're first up on this next one. It almost fits. What plans would you promote to make housing more affordable?
So I think, for the past 5 years, I worked with the Department of Energy, and what I oversaw primarily was transit and housing. And the biggest thing we saw, I am very liberal, I am very progressive, but what we saw was in very red states like Florida, Texas, and even Tennessee, is they were building at a rate that we have to be building with. But what you saw was a worker would die every single day on the job site because they don't believe in, safety for any type of worker. So our number one focus should be cutting red tape, cutting bureaucracy. If you've ever had to navigate with a city or municipality, heck, even Compass KC, it is hard to develop and do business and build housing with our governments. And it should be easier, not harder, to build in our communities. So the biggest thing I would incentivize is for people to build, because the only way supply is high, demand is high, and supply is low. So we need to increase supply.
Thank you. Jalen?
Well, what I think we should do is to work with our partners within the region. Of course, Jackson County itself has never taken on building housing ever in its history. And looking at our budget, we don't have the budget of other governments around us. But what Jackson County can do is be the advocate and the change agent to get things done. Speaking with other counties around the country who have looked at affordable housing, how they've worked with nonprofits, how they've worked with the private sector, making sure that we have on the books ordinances that are of today instead of the 1970s. I think that's one of our greatest challenges that we face. But really, housing in and of itself is not this difficult thing. The fact of the matter is, greed is what blocks the ability to have affordable housing at the end of the day. So I believe that Jackson County, as what I've been doing with the Housing Resources Commission and other housing committees, is that we work together with our regional partners as we have in the past.
Thank you. Susan?
So I think when you look at cities that have done a good job with affordable housing, there's use of incentives to get builders to be interested in affordable housing, also public-private partnerships as well, and also making sure that you have standards for affordable housing, so you're not building affordable housing that in the next 5 years it looks like crap because it was built from shoddy materials. I think all of those things are really important when you think about affordable housing.
Thank you. Brandon?
Again, direct partnerships when you talk about affordable housing. but affordable housing is the catchphrase. It means little to nothing depending on where you're looking at. Because if you look at our incorporated areas, there has been no incentivization, there has been no working with the cities, there has been none of that to increase affordable housing. When I was at the city, I was vice chair of the housing department. So when I say it's not hard to get housing as a legislator, what I would do is restore confidence in the county. And by restoring confidence, that's ensuring that our property taxes don't look like they're going to balloon, and or that we need specialized rebate programs because we're not doing our job. Once you have a stabilized government that people, developers and investors can rely on, it becomes easier to partner with cities to do incentivize low income housing. And again, I don't like that word because of how it's utilized.
Got it.
See.
Lance.
Affordable housing these days, I think, is an oxymoron. This is not just a Jackson County issue. It's a nationwide issue, and there are things sometimes beyond our control that tie our hands. But with the situation that I'll say we've been given as Jackson Countyans, we have to make the most of it. I understand the construction industry. I understand being a landlord. I understand the real estate market, and nothing is cheap. Labor is not cheap. Commodity pricing with tariffs and all these things, everything is going up. Lumber, metallics, everything is going up. So to make something more affordable, right? I believe it's possible. I wouldn't want the county to get in the business of general contracting. I do believe in partnerships and the government assisting in creating the environment. And let me just add also, affordable housing, I would like to be an individual or a family's first step. When I talk about prosperity, I don't want affordable housing to be a family's only option. We have to do better.
Gracia.
We do things to raise housing costs, and then we throw money at the problem to try to fix it. But property taxes is one of those things where we are raising properties costs. That's one area where we could easily fix the problem, and although we're working on it, we can do better. Vacant properties, why don't we make it easier for people to get vacant properties? They're sitting there and they're not being used, and they're degrading and disintegrating. So let's make it easier for people to get those vacant properties. This is a 50-step problem. So we can tackle the ones that we can identify where we have already stepped in the way of people and more affordable housing.
Thank you. Donna.
Yes, having affordable housing means having housing that is designed for seniors, that they can afford on their incomes, housing that is affordable for teachers, for firefighters, workplace housing prices, and having housing as a first priority when it comes to our houseless and homeless communities. One of the reasons I started the Housing and Houselessness and Homelessness Committee is to begin conversations with municipalities, with Jackson County as that umbrella organization, so we could talk about solutions and partner together to come up with those solutions and work towards workplace housing, housing that is available to those that are 60% AMI, housing that's available for seniors, and housing that is affordable for young people starting out. Our neighborhoods are concerned about developers coming in and pricing even themselves out of the communities they grew up in. Thank you.
Carla?
Affordable housing from the county's perspective, in my opinion, involves two things. One is passing legislation that makes it more difficult for foreign developers to come in and purchase up land and drive rent prices up and then not maintain the land. So I think that's one thing that the county should absolutely have a role in. The other is partnering with agencies that do build housing. I mean, the county doesn't have the budget to build housing, and we're not going to likely be building housing. But I do think that partnering with the state, the housing authority, the city, to help ensure that vacant properties are developed in a way that allow residents to live in those, and making sure that housing is just that legislation is there to ensure that housing can be affordable.
Thank you. Lance, you get to start the next one.
That's 3 tonight.
I know.
I feel special. Thank you.
What role should Jackson County play in attracting businesses and creating well-paying jobs? If tax incentives are given, how will you ensure incentives produce measurable benefits for taxpayers?
Yeah, so I touched on this a little bit earlier. Jackson County needs to assist in creating the environment to invite businesses in. As a small business owner, I know the areas of town that do well, that don't do well. And that's the problem. All areas of Jackson County should be doing well, should have the opportunity to prosper. When it comes to tax incentives, right, and I don't know if some of these tax incentives go back to, I think it was SB 149 about 10 or 11 years ago. But tax incentives, we have to fund our schools, we have to fund our law enforcement, public works, first responders. So I'm not saying no to tax incentives. However, the residents of Jackson County work very hard, and they're not seeing the value for the added cost of taxes, and that needs to change.
Thank you. Carla.
So I definitely think that it's important for the county to create a stable government that encourages businesses to want to be a part of uh, the county and have their businesses here. I think all of the problems and just infighting and problems and drama within the county certainly doesn't encourage businesses to want to locate and be a part of this community. And so I think that is one of the things that absolutely has to change. Regarding incentives, I with a very strong community benefits agreement, I can support um, incentives for developers um, to locate business and develop business here. I've drafted those, and I know what a good one should look like.
Thanks. Donna?
Yes, when it comes to bringing businesses into Jackson County, I believe that we as a county need to have a strong economic development corporation, someone and people working together to get businesses and attract businesses to the county. I have worked for a school district, and I have been a school board member. I understand how important tax dollars are to school districts. And when it comes to incentives, we would need to look at, is this incentive good for the community? Is it accompanied by a community benefits agreement? Will it end in 5 years instead of 20 years? I think there's a way that we can incentivize companies coming, but we need to make sure that we're working with our school districts, with all of our taxing jurisdictions, and that we make wise, informed decisions.
Thank you. Justice.
So, as it relates to Jackson County's role in a small business community, I think that they don't do enough. I think that they hardly do anything. I tell people, the county oversees very few big things, and that's assessment, stadiums, detention center, and unincorporated jack. So if you're a small business owner and you cannot compete with high commercial property taxes, and you have a home and you have high property taxes, what is the first thing that goes? Your small business. and then you lay off those people, and that's folks who are on the unemployment. So if we have markets that aren't consistent, people are not going to invest. They're not going to want to do business. As well as, one thing I don't think that's talked about enough is we have a property crime issue in Jackson County, and especially Kansas City, that impacts small business. And when a window's bashed in, it is on them to front that cost.
Thank you. Jalen?
I believe how we bring business to Jackson County and jobs is that, like what I mentioned before, we incentivize small business. If we're looking to multinational corporations to come in and to bring the jobs that we hope, we're going to find that it always falls flat. It's always an overpromise and underdeliver. But who ends up holding the bag? It's the taxpayers. So we have to be very conservative how we deal with these incentives. I believe we should incentivize the talent that we have here, that we have more people building small businesses here in Jackson County. Another path that has been advocated for before in the past and continues to be advocated for is that we have an individual down at the state that when any business comes to the state of Missouri, that Jackson County is also on that list to be considered. But we have to make sure that we take care of our people first. We can incentivize, we can bring jobs, but we have to do it the right way where the taxpayers are ended up holding the bag.
Susan?
So I think, first of all, we need to clean up our reputation and have a better reputation so that Jackson County is a place where people want to come. We also need to look at areas of Jackson County that are growing and look at that and see what they're doing right. And thirdly, I agree with the idea that we need to have strong EDCs, economic development corporations, and better collaboration between the county and the city and other business entities so that we can come up with some ideas that are viable for our county.
Thank you. Gracia, how do you see this?
When we replace a manufacturing plant for service industry jobs, McDonald's, Taco Bell's, etc., we're not taking anyone out of poverty. So we need to find trade jobs, manufacturing companies that are willing to come here and come into the most underserved areas, because that actually pulls people out of poverty, people that are going to be taxpayers and contributors. There used to be a manufacturing plant here in the historic Northeast, and people could easily get to that job. Now we have no manufacturing plant, and we have very little infrastructure to help people get around, even though we raise taxes to have a free bus system. So it doesn't matter what we do if we don't fix our infrastructure and solve the crime issue.
Thank you. Brandon?
All right. I believe the original question was, should the executive be soliciting businesses to come down here? I believe that was something like the original premise of the question.
What role should Jackson County play?
Yeah, which role should Jackson County play? I thought it was dialed down to the executive. Before I say anything, man, I'm gonna ask God to direct my tongue. And the second thing is, I'm gonna say people should take running for office and being in office serious, and they should research the limitations of the governmental position that they're going after, and in answering questions, it should always be related to that. No ifs, ands, or buts. So all of the fairy tales sound good, but in Jackson County, that's outside of your premises. So I think Jackson County, if we want to attract businesses down here, again, we can show a functional government, we can level our tax base, and we can show wise investments in the property that we own. Partnering with the state and partnering with the cities would be better ways of getting regional economic activity than trying to think about the county incentivizing anything. Like, cut it out.
Okay, so we're going to start now with closing statements. And as you recall, you get 2 minutes, no more, to wrap it up and tell us how you should be in this race as a winner. And we'll leave it up to you to start. Gracia.
Well, I have a lot to learn, but I can learn quickly. And I have a vision for Jackson County. I have a vision for Jackson County that starts with getting the county in order. Because if we don't get the county in order and we don't fix the finances and we don't make us more streamlined and actually fix the county itself within and start optimizing all the workflows and improve customer service, how can we do much more for the entire county if the county itself is disordered and in chaos. So we need to do better for our taxpayers. They work hard and they deserve better from us, and that's what I intend to do. I intend to look at everything from the top down and make sure that we're giving our taxpayers what they deserve, and what they're working really hard for, so that their money is not being wasted. I promise to do that in every area. I want to look at the finances to the deepest level and identify core issues and core problems and core causes, rather than randomly suggest solutions that are just band-aids.
Thank you very much. Carla?
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation this evening. I am running for this race because Jackson County deserves and needs an absolute reset. We have had entirely too much dysfunction in county government. We have been seeing it for the last 8 years consistently, all the way up to and including this last week. It is time for a reset and new leadership that is ready on day one to come in and get work done. I have 30 years of legal experience. I've been practicing law in this community for 30 years, and my entire career has been about serving. I am here at Hickman Mills School District right now because we had a board meeting this evening, and so I've represented them for the last 10 years. I come with experience on collaborating and working through issues. Um, I believe that if someone says that you can't advocate for a position and work in a collaborative way, they just haven't done it and they just don't know how to do it. And giving them the opportunity to continue to try and do it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. My priorities are going to be restoring trust in county government, providing more affordable housing in Jackson County, that includes addressing the property tax crisis, investing in infrastructure and public safety, and just providing qualified leadership and real experience. I am ready on day one. I am asking for your vote. Vote Carla Fields for Jackson County Legislature, 1st District at Large. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Susan?
So I have a 30-year history of leadership where I've led with integrity and civility and the bringing of people together who have different opinions. And that's the kind of experience that I want to bring to bear at the county, who is in sore need of that kind of leadership. The county has had difficulties for many years, as I remember. And I'm not saying that new people are all of a sudden going to come in and wave a magic wand. However, what I do know, if you don't plan to be different and plan to do different, anything different. And so I plan to try to lead a charge toward making things my priority, certainly, are things like economic development, public safety, and also making sure that we get this tax situation. But I know some steps have been taken, but there are some who believe that those aren't long-term fixes and we could be dealing with the same thing in the near future. So, and I definitely want to make sure that public safety and combat continues in Jackson County, because you can see the result. Drug use and drug trafficking has really been reduced in our county because of it. Please vote for Susan Wilson, 3rd District at Large, for effective and civil leadership.
Thank you. Lance.
My campaign slogan is all of us, every voice. I think for far too long, so many voices in Jackson County have not been heard. I think that the government has not supported its people well or consistent. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. The Jackson County government has become an obstacle instead of a partner with the people that it serves or should be serving. I know what creating jobs looks like. I know what opportunity looks like and how to capitalize on opportunity. I also know what it looks like to bring groups of people together for a common goal to where everybody has an equal playing field for prosperity and opportunity, right? Again, not a handout, it's a hand up. It was an honor to receive the endorsement of the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodges 99, 50, and 1. I understand budgets. I'm fiscally responsible in my personal life and in my public service on the school board. And I have the wisdom and discernment that this job, I believe, requires, because I'm fiscally responsible. And I believe that public service should be just that, service, serving sacrificially. I am donating 100% of my legislative salary back to nonprofits and community advocates in Jackson County that have a direct day-to-day impact on people's lives. I've got 5 kids. I could use the extra, I think it's $40,000 a year, right? I didn't grow up like that. I grew up in a household with a poverty level income, but grit and determination and wisdom and solid decisions in life has given me the ability and the opportunity again to give back to my community. I would love to meet whoever wants to chat. I'll meet with anybody. I'll take a conversation. Lance Pollard for JacksonCounty.com or Lance Pollard for Jackson County on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance. Donna?
Thank you so much to you, the League of Women Voters, and to everyone that has joined this evening. Serving as your Jackson County Legislator, 2nd District at Large, has truly been a privilege and truly been an honor. And it has truly been something that I had worked every day to make sure that I am serving you and serving you well. During my first term, I advocated for seniors and was a co-sponsor on the senior tax levy. I have advocated for houseless and homeless initiatives. I have advocated for young people, for our youth. And public safety has been a priority for me as well. I've worked to build partnerships with our municipalities, with school districts, with businesses, with nonprofits, and with faith leaders, because what we can accomplish together is amazing. We are certainly better together, and I want to keep those conversations going. I believe that public service is about listening, solving problems, and putting people over politics. Our county needs experienced leadership. It needs leadership that brings people together and makes informed decisions and is able to be civil with one another, able to collaborate, and able to listen to differing opinions. I am asking for your vote because I offer proven leadership, practical experience, and a record of working with others to get things done. I will continue to work with transparency and with a commitment to every community within Jackson County. I would be honored to have your vote and to have your support. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. Brandon?
Yeah, I want to start with agreement. I agree that the second district in Jackson County wholeheartedly needs somebody with experience and the ability to bring collaboration. I've demonstrated that by state and at the local level. Jackson County needs somebody that is extremely transparent, and I've been blessed to be extremely transparent and surprisingly effective. So if you're looking for somebody that is transparent, effective, and actually engaging the constituents, not in talk or rhetoric, then elect me as your next Jackson County Second District at large. And the last thing I would like to say, 4 years from now, you will not be asking me what I plan to do with issues that existed when I was in office. I will be telling you what I was working on with those issues. I think it's ridiculous that we have incumbents that are running and can't tell us what they've done with persistent issues, but they're going to tell us what they're going to do with these persistent issues once they get elected again. That's not leadership.
Thank you. Jalen.
Well, I just want to say that serving in this position has been truly an honor. Just being able to get to know people all throughout Jackson County, getting to understand the different perspectives throughout Jackson County. The reason why I'm running again is because Jackson County has given my family so much, and what we've been able to accomplish together over the past 7.5 years. We went through a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, and what we saw was that a quick and focused leadership was able to save countless lives throughout Jackson County. We are one of the counties of our size throughout the entire country that was able to push back against the onslaught of that terrible, terrible pandemic. We were able to see real investment, not only in our university health, our public hospital, but also throughout Jackson County, in other hospitals, in other medical centers. As we talk about as folks talk about this idea of the disarray, and there's always been disagreements and there always will be, but I want to talk about what I've been able to get done. What I've been able to get done is what Legislator Payton had mentioned before. We were able to get passed and put on the ballot and pass with 58% of the vote a senior services fund, something that is attached to a property tax in and of itself. That'll bring over $10 million every year to take care of seniors. We've been able to ban conversion therapy, even though the city across the street from Kansas City repealed and did not have a plan. We will hold the line against this Attorney General and not allow her to overrun and to attack children and to attack those who just want to live their own lives. I've also been proud to bring more funding to those children and adults with developmental disabilities. We've been able to do all these things, and I thank my mother, who's a single mom, who was a nurse. I think of my family. What they always told me is you can, you must, you will. And you build yourself up. You don't let somebody knock you down. We have to
Thank you,
keep going
Jalen.
together.
Thank you. Justice, you're wrapping it up.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having us all tonight, and for having this discussion. So the biggest thing that got me to run for the county is, just feeling like there's not a lot of hope as a young person coming up in the county. Our county was founded in 1826, and it is now 200 years old in 2026. And what we see is a vacant Truman Sports Complex on the horizon. We had the recall of our county executive. We have, county legislators out on bond for domestic batteries. We have chairs, moving and grooving. And we have folks, who are alleged to have, accepted money for bribery. The same folks who have gotten us to this point should not be the same folks who move us forward. This is a chance for the county residents to clean slate, to clean house. And if the recall didn't show you what people were, calling for, I don't know what else is. And as the only candidate who knocks doors every single day, there is a huge, I know, Brandon, there's a huge anti-incumbent sentiment out there because people do not recognize themselves in the Republican Party, and they feel like the Democratic Party is, not meeting this moment because they feel like the best way to battle Trump is to, respond with letters and talk about what we should have, would have, could have done. We need people who are going to deliver and not wait until election season to parachute into communities, but those who wake up every single day, tie their shoes on, and get out into the community. and not show up just around election season. So that's the biggest reason why I'm running as someone in their 20s, because I'm tired of listening to politicians talk about what they're going to do, because our residents can no longer wait. People are losing their livelihoods, their homes, and people are dying out here.
Thank you. Before I turn it back to Anitra, I just want to commend all of you for running for office. It's a big job, and it's great to see such a good turnout. We're thrilled at the League when we have a big turnout for a forum. It makes the dialogue so much richer, and that really helps. So just two things to ask of you. Tell people to vote, and tell them to go look at our website and see these YouTube videos and get a good sense of your place in the race. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy, for moderator, and thank you, candidates, for showing up, even though we had a rough start. Thank you, audience, for your interest in the August 4th election. A recording of this forum will be available on the League's website, lwvkc.org. Please take a moment to share our forums with your Facebook, Nextdoor, and other social media channels. And remember, for voting and candidate information, go to lwvkc.org and vote411.org. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.